On this activity, we're going to be dealing with 30, 60, 90 right triangles. To start off on this isometric paper, we have to understand that when you connect dot to dot to dot, you make an equilateral triangle. Okay? So that's an equilateral triangle where the side lengths are all 1 unit long. We have to understand that. And so then if this is equilateral, it's also equiangular. So each angle in the triangle is also 60 degrees. Okay? Now let's make a triangle down here like this. So obviously we have a right angle right there. Okay? What are the other two angle measurements? Well, if you look up here, then you remember that these angles are 60 degrees. And this right here is part of it. It's the same, like you were to connect that right there, that angle would be 60 degrees, correct? Okay. So this angle right here is 60 degrees. And that angle is 90. So this angle has to be 30 degrees because the angles in the triangle have to add up to 180. The sum has to be 180. Okay? Now we said that this is a side length of 1 unit long, just like up here on this equilateral triangle. Okay? So how long is this hypotenuse then? Same thing. These diagonal lengths are each 1 unit. So that would be 2 units long. So how long is the other leg? We're going to do Pythagorean theorem to figure it out. Let's call the other side B. So by the Pythagorean theorem, 1 squared plus b squared is going to equal c squared. Excuse me. It's going to equal to 2 squared because 2 is our hypotenuse. So that's going to be 1 plus b squared equals 4 because 2 squared is 4. Subtract 1 from both sides and you get b squared is equal to 3. Alright, now to solve for b, you're going to take the square root of both sides. So b is going to be equal to the square root of 3. So that's how long that missing leg is. Okay, so this is the square root of 3. That's how tall that vertical segment is. So that means on the rest of these spots, that length is going to be the same, square root 3. Let's remember that for the next triangle we draw. Now we're going to go 2 units, or sorry, 2 dots down and 2 dots across, and then we're going to connect the hypotenuse. Again, we still made a 30, 60, 90 triangle because this angle right here is similar or just like this angle right there. It makes this part of the equilateral triangle. So that angle is 60, and that angle right there has to be 30 degrees. Okay? So down here, going horizontally, you count by 1 unit. 1 unit, and 1 unit is 2. Going diagonal here, you also count by units. So it's 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units. So the hypotenuse is 4, and this leg over here, the shorter leg, is 2. How do I find how long b is? Well, you can do Pythagorean theorem, or we can look back at what we established back here, is that this vertical distance between 2 dots is the square root of 3. We got that from this other triangle. So this goes 2 dots, so it's the square root of 3 and the square root of 3 added together, which is 2 square root of 3. So the sides on this triangle are 2, 2 square root of 3, and 4. So similarly, let's go 3 dots down, 3 dots across, connect the hypotenuse. Again, we still made a 30, 60, 90 triangle. That's this bottom side length, the shorter leg, is 3 units long. Counting the dots here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units long. Notice that relationship, the shorter leg and the hypotenuse. There was 1 and 2 on the first triangle, 2 and 4 on the second triangle, and this time it's 3 and 6. The hypotenuse is always double the shorter leg. Okay. Now remember that each of these vertical dots counts for square root of 3 units. So this goes 3 of them. So this is going to be 3 square root of 3. Hopefully you see a pattern now. So on the next triangle, let's go 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or sorry, not 4 units, 4 dots. 4 dots to the right. Connect. Here's our 60-degree angle. There's our 30-degree angle up here. Counting over horizontally, that is 4 units long. Counting diagonal, that's going to be 8 units long when you count all the dots. And then this goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, and each vertical change represents square root of 3. So it's a square root of 3 4 times. In other words, 4 times the square root of 3. Okay? Now let's look at our chart. If the length of the shorter leg was 1, like it was on the first triangle, then the hypotenuse is double that. And the length of the long leg, if we go all the way back, it was the square root of 3. So, just like that. Alright, on the second triangle, the shorter leg was 2, hypotenuse was 4, and the length of the longer leg was the 2 square root of 3. And filling these out, you can continue the pattern to see the relationship in 30, 60, 90 triangles, the relationship between these sides. The ratio that is true for all of them, this ratio is true for all of them, is 1 to 2 to square root of 3. And that's when you're comparing the short leg to the hypotenuse to the long leg. Alright. In other words, find the short leg first, then in order to find the longer leg, you take the shorter leg length, multiply it times the square root of 3, like here. The shorter leg is 2, multiply it times the square root of 3, you get 2 square root of 3. If you know the length of the shorter leg and want to find the hypotenuse, you just multiply times 2, like 4 times 2 is 8. Alright, so on this one, you can describe these 30, 60, 90 triangles as this. The shorter leg is always opposite the 30-degree angle, because the 30-degree is the smallest angle. So opposite the 30-degree angle is the shorter leg. We're going to call that X. Opposite the 60-degree angle is the longer leg. And looking at the pattern in that table, it's this shorter leg amount times the square root of 3. And then the hypotenuse was the shorter leg times 2. So the shorter leg is X, multiply it times 2, and you get 2X. Here's the relationship between 30, 60, 90 triangles and their sides of them. Alright, so for example, let's say the side opposite 30 degrees is 10 units long. The side opposite 60, in other words, the longer leg, is going to be that amount times the square root of 3. And the hypotenuse will be that 10, the length of the shorter leg, times 2. It's going to be 20. So again, you get that by doing 10 times 2. And that's 30, 60, 90 triangle.